Can you
Ah,
see me?
I can see you now.
Hi.
How we doing?
Sorry. I'm good, man.
How's things? How's life treating you?
Great. I'm very busy, but happy to be busy.
Beautiful. I must thank our good friend Connection to you for getting us connected in the first place. You're the first person actually for Styx to come on my podcast, so a real honor.
Ah, well, I'm happy to be here and happy to yap.
Excellent. Well, welcome to the show. Welcome to the podcast. Obviously, as we know, you're doing very well and doing a whole bunch of things, including recently, you're still upkeeping with your famous Beatles tribute show, Liverpool. What is that all about? Where's that love come from for the Beatles?
Well, I did grow up in the wake of the Beatles. And there's a very good chance that I wouldn't have become a musician were it not for the Beatles. I was a kid in the United States. My family on Sunday nights gathered around the television to watch the Ed Sullivan Show, and there they were. And it made me study drums. I wanted to become a drummer. I wanted to become like Ringo. And so I began learning drums, um, which led to other instruments. But really, I kind of feel like I can blame it on the Beatles.
Beautiful. I guess drums and bass do have a bit of a correlation with the rhythm section, and also, I don't blame you for choosing the drums first. They are a great instrument of choice.
Great instrument. I actually went from drums to guitar, so I became a guitarist, and then eventually, more than not, I'm a bass player in life now. But I still play a little bit of everything.
Fantastic. Out of all the four Beatles, who do you reckon you are the most? Do you describe yourself as the most and why?
Wow. Well, I guess Paul. I guess Paul McCartney. I mean, I'm left-handed. I'm a writer and arranger. So I guess I would say Paul, although that doesn't diminish my respect, admiration for John and George and Ringo.
Lovely. Obviously, you based in New Jersey. Lots of fantastic musicians come out that way. What's the scene like over there in New Jersey in terms of music?
There's a lot. There's a lot of bands. There are a lot of great musicians. Where I live in Asbury Park, which has, I guess, been made famous by Bruce Springsteen, and I know Bruce somewhat and his members of his band. I work with his drummer Max Weinberg a lot. Um, I'm friendly with a lot of those people, but also there's so many other bands from this area. It's a culturally rich area and musically rich, and there's just so many. I don't know why, but so many musicians have flocked to this area.
Especially the East Coast in general. When you look all the way down across the East Coast, you got like REM and B-52s over in Georgia, out Athens way as well, and of course, folks up in Boston, Aerosmith, and Boston itself till Tuesday the Car. So a lot of great bands come from the East Coast, and certainly some fantastic ones across the years as well.
For sure. And it's historically been, there's been a lot of well, we're just south of Manhattan and Harlem, and where so much great music, some jazz and music in the 20s. There's so much that has happened. And I guess, yeah, I guess so many metropolitan areas will create a lot of musicians.
Lovely, lovely. 35 years ago, and I actually was just doing the math recently. Edge of the Century debuted in 1990 on this month. How did you get
Hmm.
the deal? How'd you get the job with Styx?
Uh, they kind of had broken up for about 6 years, and then they decided they were going to reunite and make a record. And but when it was time to actually do it, Tommy Shaw, one of the singer, guitar player, writers in the band, uh, had already committed himself to doing another project called Damn Yankees. And but the other remaining members of Styx were like, well, wait a minute. I thought that we were going to, well, I thought we had agreed to get back together. So they decided to look for a replacement for Tommy. And I had met and somewhat known James Young, the sole remaining original guitarist in the band. And he had brought my name up to Dennis DeYoung, and they asked me to join the band. So I got together with them and I sang. We did like a little. We did a little audition. Also, the reason why I met JY is because I had a couple of solo albums on A&M Records, which happened to be the label that Styx was on, and so there was some material of mine that hadn't yet been released that I was getting ready for a third album, although that was never to be a third solo album. But those songs, I got to send those to James Young and Dennis DeYoung, as well as Chuck and John Panazzo, and they got to hear what my songwriting was like, what my work in the studio was like. So that kind of cemented, I guess, my involvement as a replacement for Tommy Shaw.
Beautiful. How did you feel sort of going into the studio the first time? Like, how did you feel like approaching sort of the role? And you weren't trying to be like the next Tommy Shaw, but you were trying to be your own thing in this iconic Chicago-based band.
I, you know, I I thought the way I interpreted it, my job was to make this older band uh, relevant um, to the new musical scene that was happening currently, and so I was kind of injecting some what I thought was youthful energy and some more modern pop, I guess you'd say. Of course, talking about it now, it's funny because that's so long ago that there's nothing modern about it now. But in any case, I took it upon myself to say, okay, well, I want to add um, some new energy and enthusiasm into this band, and I think I did okay. I wrote almost half the album, including the title track and the first single and stuff like that. But it wasn't quite as legendary an entrance as I had wished. But so be it.
Yeah, it's an absolutely wonderful album. It's probably one of my favorite ones, probably stacked up to
Wow,
the fan favorite records, and I can actually contest it as well. The owner of
wow.
Rediscovery CDs, Butch also absolutely loves the record as well. He wanted me to say that on his behalf. So there you go.
Well, that's nice. Boy, this is music I haven't really listened to in years, but yeah, I thought there were some good moments on that record, and there was even a hit off of it. It's a song of Dennis's called "Show Me the Way," and so that was cool, And I'm singing and playing and inserting my influence on the band at that point.
It's fantastic. And then obviously you've been doing these shows called Glen Burtnik Play Styx, where you look back at your time with Styx. So I guess now going on like over 20 years since you were last with the band. What was it like revisiting on obviously your era, but some of the songs that you played during your time with the band?
It was like a trip down memory lane, you know. I had two different roles in Styx. There's this first one we're talking about for Edge of the Century, where I was a guitar player and singer-songwriter. And then a few years later, I was asked back to play bass in the band. And there were a few moments on those tours and the next album, the next studio album, which was Cyclorama, where I got to stretch out a little bit and write my own songs and sing my own songs. So you know, it was so there's a bunch of music from these two different periods, and by doing these Burtnik Play Styx shows, it was a bit of a revisit for me, and it it was a trip. Yeah, it's like it's almost like a high school reunion or something, reuniting with these old children that I had 20 or 30 years previously.
Mm, I would. It looks like a great show from what I'd seen online, and like you mentioned, the Cyclorama album as well. You had on your track "Kiss Your Ass Goodbye," Tenacious D. How did that come about? Because that's a random choice, but certainly iconic nonetheless. Jack Black and Kyle Glass.
Yeah, we were making we were working on the Cyclorama album, and we were kind of drawing from the people we knew to help out, to make an appearance on the record. So I had my friend John Waite show up, and he sang a little bit. Tommy Shaw called in friends, Billy Bob Thornton, and I don't know how we got it, but Tenacious D, and it was probably through Tommy's channels. But you know, they were asked if they wanted to, you know, sing a little bit, and there was even a little bit of a comedy routine on the record featuring Tenacious D, and so we were all fans of Tenacious D. So it was a thrill and an honor to have them singing on my song "Kiss Your Ass Goodbye."
Yeah, yeah. I haven't really listened back to the album yet, but that sounds like a really promising track that I should just go back to and listen not only for your work, but for Tenacious D's appearance. So something I will add to the list. Out of all the
Yeah,
trip,
cool,
yeah, you've done
cool.
obviously besides the Beatles work, you did Glen Burtnik Synchronicity, which was a police tribute band. Is that still going by any chance, or is that long gone?
Nah, that just happened for like a year maybe, and you know, I recognized the influence, the rise of tribute bands, kind of before they were called tribute bands, but I had spent a lot of time, you know, in Beatlemania, which was kind of an early tribute act, although it was a Broadway show, and you know, so there was that. Then I thought, well, I really love the Police, and I didn't know of anybody doing Police music. The Police had broken up, so I thought I'd try that. We did that for about a year. It was a great experience with two other players. Great having a three-part band, three-member, a trio, and that was a great experience. But I grew tired of that too, you know. So yeah, that was a quick one.
Was there any particular songs that you enjoyed playing at all, like with the show that you always look forward to?
Of the with the Police
Yeah,
stuff.
with the Synchronicity tribute show.
Oh my gosh, yeah, yeah. I'm a big Police fan. Synchronicity, I guess it's Synchronicity 1 and 2. Both of those songs, that album has a lot of great stuff, but so do the previous albums. But yeah, I have to say that Synchronicity 2 is perhaps my favorite Police song, I guess.
Okay, fair enough. As a drummer myself, I always love the work of Stuart Copeland, so there's always
Yeah,
something to look forward to when it comes to him. He's actually due out
yeah.
Australia at the start of next year. He's doing his talking tour. Have I said too much? So that's finally
Ah,
coming to Australia at last. So I look forward to picking up my tickets for that one. And I guess to follow up on that one, what songs were always the most challenging for you to do out of the Police catalog on the Synchronicity tribute shows?
wow, you're asking me some questions I haven't thought of in a while. Yeah. There was one song where I had to play keyboards while playing bass. Um, there's a little black hole in the sun today. That whatever the song that is, I can't remember the title, but I remember that being a little bit of a challenge. Playing two
Uh,
instruments at once.
yeah, that would be King of Pain, also of the
Thank
Synchronicity
you,
album. Synchronicity
thank you.
album as well. It's a great song. Yeah, definitely. I mentioned that would have been a challenge as well. Going across to back to the Beatles stuff with the Liverpool band. What is your sort of your favorite songs, I guess, from that one that would you perform?
Whew. You know what? I'm actually in more than one Beatle band. um, there's a group called the Weaklings, which we kind of are a Beatle band, although we also write our own material. But and then there's Liverpool, the band that plays the fest for Beatles fans twice a year, and uh, and then there's also Beatles shows. There's another convention called the Abbey Road by the River in Kentucky. Uh, I so in all those bands, I do pretty much the same role, though. I play bass guitar and I sing predominantly Paul's vocals. And One of my favorite songs, well, being a hardcore Beatles fan and a musician, I tend I've always tended to marvel at the lesser known deep tracks. So uh, we do, the fact that with the Weaklings we did What's the New Mary Jane? And live, I've done Revolution Number 9 a few times. And I love doing those things. We did, the Weaklings did a rearrangement, our own rearrangement of Baby You're a Rich Man. Those songs that are lesser known by the lay people, let's say, laymen. But those are my favorites because they're not as celebrated. You don't hear them as often, and there's a challenge doing revamping uh, classic Beatle material is a thrill and a fun assignment that I enjoy.
Yeah, sounds absolutely wonderful and fantastic. I noticed you got the lefty Rickenbacker behind you. How long has that one been in your collection for?
I guess I bought that when I was in Styx. Yeah, yeah. I'm getting ready for I'm going to be doing a symposium on the Beatles' Rubber Soul album, and we'll be doing it here in Asbury Park, uh, I guess, in a couple of weeks. And so I'm re-studying the Rubber Soul album, and I have come to the realization that a lot of that album was played on the Rickenbacker bass. So instead of doing my rehearsing with the Hofner bass, which is what I often play, I figured, well, let's get the Rickenbacker out and let's see what happens. And it's a completely different instrument with a much larger neck, uh, and it's just a bigger bass, larger scale, longer scale. It's much heavier than a Hofner. So it's a little bit of an adjustment. It's good. It's good for me. It's a good thing to get back into.
Now, I always love a good Rickenbacker, the sound of the tone of that, especially that's coming from a Rush fan personally. So obviously
Ah,
growing up, going through all the prog albums, and then obviously a bit into the 80s as well. But definitely predominantly in the 70s with 2112, 509, etc., etc. So yeah, would you say the Rickenbacker would be more of a favorite compared to the Honor or the other way around?
Hofner. I No, I don't love it. I think they sound great. They sound amazing. I'm a big Chris Squire fan, and and when you put round wound strings on them, they're just so bright and punchy. They're great, but they're. I'm not a tall man. I don't have huge hands, so it's a bigger neck. Um, and so that's a little bit of a challenge. Whereas I'm so used to playing the Hofner, which is a shorter scale. Um, but they're lovely, and I still love my Fender Precision bass. They're all wonderful tools, and it's like if you ask me, they're all tools. It's like asking me what my favorite screwdriver is. I probably have one, but it's a tool.
At the end of the day, it gets the job done.
It better, yeah.
You did a stint on radio for a little while on the local New Jersey network called The Hook. You did School of Rock. What was that like getting behind the mic and doing something completely different?
That's fun. It was a lot of fun. It was just talking about music. The School of Rock. The concept was I was going to every week I had a different topic, and I would use material, play material to uh, demonstrate the different points I was making. It was a little bit of a challenge because it was a classic rock station, and I was told I was only allowed to play the material on their playlist. And that kind of annoyed me because it was all just classic rock. I couldn't actually bring in anything outside of what their song list was. So it was a challenge, but it was cool and it was fun. And I did that for a couple of years.
Would that be something you'd be interested in going back to if there was spare time available in your life?
Sure, I like to talk about music, and I like music, and yeah, if somebody offered me that and it fit into my crazy schedule, I would do it. I am toying with the idea of maybe doing a podcast and talking about music, but it's also a bunch of extra work that I may or may not need to jump into because I'm very, very busy at this point in my life.
Yeah, I think I'm so fortunate that I've caught you at a good time doing the variety show with Liam because now we've been trying for a few months now, and it's just been like,
Yeah,
are you able to do it this time? Are you able to do it that time? But
yeah,
here
I
we
know.
are. It's like 2:21 a.m. in the morning here in Australia, but here we are talking music. So I guess maybe could be a catalyst for something to come.
Could be. You never know. I have no. I can't see in the future. I have no idea where this is all leading to. And I do love new experiences, that's for sure, and adventure.
Beautiful. If you describe yourself in an album, or maybe a few albums that you love, what albums would you say describe you and why?
Wow. I have many heroes. Most of them are from the past. Uh, but, I love Todd Rundgren's early work. Something Anything is a tremendous album. Stevie Wonder, music, Songs in the Key of Life, and all of his previous records. Those two guys come to mind. Something Anything by Todd and Songs in the Key of Life by Stevie. That's my quick answer.
And then if you throw in the Beatles, you could technically put in the whole entire catalog if you really wanted to.
Yeah, and I do adore uh, the music of the Beatles, and there's no getting away from it. It's such a part of my DNA at this point, and it does seem to be not going away. Whereas even Stevie Wonder is a little less noticed now. But the Beatles, I have grandchildren now and they like the Beatles, so who knows? I mean, it's like endless.
Hmm. Were you ever aware of the band called XTC from England?
Absolutely. Great band, amazing band. And they were kind of like an 80s answer to the Beatles in a way. Yeah, I love them. Some great moments, great albums from them.
Yeah, they were absolutely wonderful. They did tour America a fair few amount of times before Andy Partridge decided to call quits due to stage fright. But they actually had a chance to go pay homage to the 1960 psychedelic music. I'm sure this one you may remember, the Dukes of Stratosphere.
Loved it, really loved it. And I found that inspiring too, because I'm probably the same age as those guys. And so that music, that psychedelic music, is my favorite. Another artist that means everything to me, well, two, is Bob Dylan and Jimi Hendrix. And Jimi Hendrix put out some of the most beautiful psychedelic albums, if you ask me. I think Axis Bold as Love is my favorite record in the whole world by Jimi Hendrix. So, yeah, the idea that the Dukes of the Stratosphere kind of acted like it was the late 60s and with their music, that, yeah, that might have even been partial inspiration for the Weaklings. Our when the Weaklings first got together, we were trying to create music from the earlier 60s. We wanted to make believe that the 80s never happened, that there were no machines, and no synthesizers. And we flew to England. We recorded our second album at Abbey Road Studios B, which was where the Beatles cut most of their music. And so it might have been. I don't recall it being, but it might have been inspiration for from the Dukes of the Stratosphere to for us, the Weaklings, to make some music that's kind of a throwback.
Mm. Is there a particular album or track from XTC that you enjoyed the most from them?
I love making plans for Nigel the most. I love that song, and I do draw from it. I steal from it every chance I get.
Lovely. Yeah, I guess like Rush, I'm head first into their entire catalog from start to finish, including the Dukes of Stratosphere stuff. So Big Express is where it lies for me. Album about Swindon Town, as you know, inspired by Steamworks and all that. So that's where kind of my favorite one is. It's a bit of the middle of the road, but that was before they did the Duke stuff, and they even went under fake names for that one as well. And fooled pretty much everyone by releasing 25 o'clock EP on April Fool's Day.
Ah, great, great.
Yeah. Going on now to Styx. Name, I guess, five Styx songs that you like performing during your time, and if you have a reason to, them why?
Well, I mean, I'm automatically always gonna like recall and uh, enjoy the memory of doing my music. So there's Kiss Your Ass Goodbye and Love is the Ritual, uh, World Tonight, Love at First Sight, which I wrote with Dennis. Uh, a lot of people remind me of All in a Day's Work. That's another song that Dennis and I wrote together. But uh, and that's five. But I think a sixth one would be Killing the Thing That You Love, which I wrote with my partner in the Weaklings. It's kind of a song about it's kind of about John Lennon's assassin, and yeah. So that automatically, I'm just going to go right there to my songs.
So you wouldn't put anything that you were sort of singing in the shoes of Shaw during 90, the 91 tour at all? So nothing from before your time?
I great respect for their music, their hits. Come Sail Away is about as classic a classic rock song as you could get. it's definitely along the lines of Won't Get Fooled Again and all this, other staples of classic rock music. I would say the pinnacle of what they had was Come Sail Away.
Yeah, I always enjoyed. Actually, I was just looking back on all this old footage that had been uploaded over the years. I dare say your version of Snowblind was actually better by a smidgen than the original Young and Shaw recording from
Wow.
1981. I actually genuinely like how you did it on the Edge of the Century tour. So, yeah,
Wow. Wow. Well, thank you. Uh, yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I mean, uh, because I have tons of respect for Tommy and all of them. And Tommy is he's a great player. He's a great musician. He's a great artist, great singer.
yes.
And and I'd even say better than me. When I look at it for Styx music, uh, yeah, Tommy is superior to me for Styx music. Yeah.
Yeah. What was it like, I guess, then going into 1999, then 2004, you finally got the opportunity to not only work with him, produce music, and then obviously perform live. So now finally having that opportunity to come together and perform live side by side.
Pretty interesting situation that I was a co-songwriter on and guitar player and singer for one version of Styx. And then a few years later I came back and there really is only one or two guys who were familiar from the previous incarnation of the band. Like when I was with Edge of the Century, it was Dennis was there, John Panazzo was there, Chuck Panazzo, and James Young. A few years later, I came back, and Chuck was on again, off again, but he, for the most part, I was replacement for his bass playing. John Panazzo unfortunately passed away. Dennis was not in the band. And there's Tommy, and I'm working with him. JY was basically the only guy who was in both versions of the band that I worked with. So I found that kind of interesting. So much of the music was the same, and it certainly was. We were making this music with original members, but it's two different bands, and I had two different roles. And I've often, joked that if they ever need a drummer or a keyboard player, maybe I should, get my chops together and see if I can wear those hats. But which is silly, by the way. But in any case, very, very different. Maybe socially different. Dennis's leading was very different from Tommy and JY's uh, leading of the band. Um, but they're all very deserving because it's their band and they had the hits with them.
Yeah. After all those years, I guess they were just still going strong, even though they'd lost John. They came in with Todd and obviously the fantastic Lawrence Gown, who would end up replacing
Amazing.
Dennis from here on in. And what an
Sure.
amazing musician. And hopefully one day Styx can somehow make the budget and come to Australia because long overdue, they need to come to Australia.
I have told them all that I think they should, get off their high horse, take the high road, and do one last tour, perhaps, with Dennis. And you could keep Lawrence on stage, and I mean, all of that. I personally think that they would do well with that. But you know what? They don't need my advice. They're doing great. They've been touring for years, very successfully, and so it's just my opinion. And opinions are like buttholes. Everybody has one.
That's very true. I guess looking back then on your entirety of your whole career, you've done a lot of things that if people want to look it up on the internet, they can. What is your favorite thing about sort of being a musician, I guess, as a whole?
Well, I do love writing. I think I'm better at writing music than I am at anything. Um, and I enjoy anytime I get to hear a song of mine on the radio or wherever, or performing it live, But I also have what I refer to as social ADD. So I enjoy the fact that I'm in 8 bands currently, something like 7 or 8 bands, and I really enjoy. Like I just did a tour with the orchestra, which is a group of former ELO members playing the music of Electric Light Orchestra. But so I just did a tour with them, which is great. And now, boom, tour's over, and I'm doing a number of shows with the Weaklings. Completely different people, completely different music. I'm also music director for the New Jersey Hall of Fame. We have an induction ceremony coming up in which I'm kind of like the Doc Severinsen. I'm leading the orchestra at this awards show. Completely different people and completely different music than ELO or Beatles or Weaklings or whatever it is. I I really enjoy wearing many hats, playing many instruments, and and writing new music. I consider myself very, very fortunate that I've had such a varied career, and it continues to be varied.
Yeah, you've had such a longevity, obviously loving the Beatles and still bringing it through to this current day. And obviously, as I said, my first real exposure to you was hearing Edge of the Century, probably maybe a few years ago now, and absolutely falling in love with its early 90s charm and everything that you brought to the band. You brought this whole new spark of energy in the time and age where bands like that were sort of falling out of popularity with mainstream press. But there you are, Styx was still charging along, even if it was at a slower pace.
I feel a little disappointed that classic rock is not quite going away the way the music of the big band era did, or the music of swing, or some of Motown or whatever. Uh, that it's great. It's classic music. It's wonderful, and I've lived a life playing it. But I'm also like, well, what about new music? Has the modern day pop composer drifted away into nowhere land? A part of it is that music doesn't pay the songwriters or the artists what it used to when it comes to record releases. But audiences still exist for live music, and classic rock audiences are the baby boomers, are the older people who have enough money to afford concert tickets. So, I mean, I get it, and I'm one of them. Here I am mentioning Todd Rundgren and Stevie Wonder and Jimi Hendrix. I mean, so I'm part of that age group. Uh, like I say, it's a little disconcerting that there's not more new music that I'm aware of. But by the way, there's artists like Billie Eilish out there who are uh, doing new music all the time. There's lots of new music out there. It's just that when you're an older person, you don't pay as much attention to the new stuff, But
Yeah.
there's never a shortage of great new musicians.
Yes, especially when you start to read into the interviews and articles, you find a lot of them just seem to love the past. Like there's just something so great about it. I mean, you got Billie Eilish proclaiming she loves Thomas Dolby's music, full up. So it's like
I'm with her on that. I love Tom Stolby. Yeah.
it's it's never going away anytime soon.
No, I guess not. I guess not. But I will say, when I was growing up, I also listened to the music that my parents played around the house. And my father turned me on to Oscar Peterson and jazz and Billie Holiday and Louis Armstrong. The so I also think it is kind of the obligation of a young musician to also look back and to learn from previous generations and previous masters. I think it's a great form of education.
Mm, it's kind of what I've done with my own radio show here in Geelong, Grooves on the Record. I actually specialize in your era of music, 70s, 80s, and well into the 90s as well. So I'm keeping the flame of classic rock alive in a bit of obscurity as well, and even shining a light on your era of Styx and Styx in general, because they don't get enough airplay at all here in Australia, let alone anything.
That's too bad. Yeah.
But we do what we do, and I'm always like when I get interviews like this, especially with people who with bands who've been associated with bands that I love, it's always such a great time to do it. So yeah,
Good for you.
thank you very much. So we do what we do, and I always look forward to seeing what's on the horizon because there's always new sounds that could be influenced by sounds of the past.
Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Glen Burtnik, formerly of Styx, but doing many things, as you mentioned during this podcast episode. Where can we find you?
Look for the Weaklings, Weeklings. That's the band that I'm currently in. That we do original music as well as touching on some classic rock, but we put out records on Gem Records, and you can look. I guess that's the way to look for me. I do have my old music is floating around there somewhere, but yeah, I'm gonna keep creating music until I can't anymore. And I commend you for staying up late. I hope that you go to sleep after this interview and have a good night's sleep.
Yes, thank you very much. Work in the morning, but it's all worth it because then the day after is radio day for me on the Wednesday, so more time to play obscure music that is goes under the radar here in Australia, but in America and Canada is usually popular.
There you go.